My chore growing up was to do the vacuuming. I never liked it. Especially when we had guests, when we knew we were having guests coming over. Like it was a birthday party coming up or a holiday or whatever it was, so we had to really clean the house. And so my dad was very particular on how I did the vacuuming. And I never got it when I was growing up. Because like you had to vacuum in all these random places that you never had to vacuum regularly. And so I'm like, Dad, they're not going to look behind the china cabinets. Why am I having to vacuum behind the china cabinet when they're not going to look there? I still did it dutifully, still vacuumed underneath the couches and behind the china cabinet because, lo and behold, my aunt would look there. But for all those years, every answer that I would get when I would ask around the family is like, why do I have to go these extra lengths to clean the house when I have guests coming over, or when there are guests coming over to the house? And most often, the answer that I would get was, well, we don't want to be embarrassed. We want our house to look really well, so that when guests coming over, they don't look upon us and say, oh, look, they can't keep their house very clean. Oh, look, there's one little cobweb right behind the china cabinets. They're totally, not here with it. That was the best answer I could get. It was so that we wouldn't look bad whenever we had guests coming over. But this isn't the attitude that Abraham takes when he sees these three visitors coming by. Abraham goes way out of his way to welcome these visitors in, to welcome these three guests into his place. And he's not doing it merely so that he can look good in the eyes of these people. He has no idea who these persons are, let alone that these persons are the Lord. As you notice at the very beginning of that passage, the Lord appeared to Abraham as these three visitors. Abraham has no idea who they are. He goes out of his way to provide the best for these visitors that are coming by. He runs back into the house and says, Sarah, make the best bread that you can possibly make. He goes into the backyard and he picks the best steak that he possibly can out of the whole flock to give the best to these servants. Nowhere within there is he trying to think of, how are they going to look upon me? Now here he sees three persons in front of him who are going through a journey in the Holy Land, out in that place. When you're making a journey, you don't usually have water bottles. You don't have so much prepared for you ahead of time so that it's all ready for you as you go out on that trail. People are in need when they're making a journey in Abraham's time. So here Abraham sees these persons in need and recognizing that these are persons who need to not only have these necessities, but they're also persons. These persons who have this need to be accepted. And so here are three persons making their way through, and now they have a place where they can feel safe, where they can feel like they are received and welcomed and accepted in this place. And as Abraham does so, he is not left the same. Because Abraham finally realizes at the end of that passage that he's not only serving three persons who happen to be passing by, but as that one visitor says, by this time next year, you will have a son. Now he's realizing that these persons may be sent by God, they may even be God himself, coming to fulfill that promise that God had made to him long ago, that from you I will raise up a great nation. And now it's coming to fulfillment. He is not left the same. He is filled with this hope, because he not only just welcomed these visitors into his place, but he created the space for this encounter to happen. He made room in his life for this encounter to happen, for him to receive something that he would not have received otherwise. This is the better part that Mary takes as Jesus comes into her and Martha's home. As Mary receives Jesus into that home, she not only makes that space for him, like Martha does. Martha goes about with all the busyness and taking care of all the chores and maybe making Jesus and Mary a cup of tea. I don't know what she's doing, so busy about. But Mary not only makes the space in her house for Jesus, Mary makes the space for the encounter with Jesus. For Jesus to have a place where he can come and be himself, so that he could be received in love. And that he could know that he has this place where he will be amongst friends and he will be loved amongst his friends. So even though Martha is doing a good thing by taking care of the service, by making the tea or whatever it was that she was making, she was doing a good thing, and Jesus never tells her to stop. If you notice in all the words that Jesus says, Jesus never tells Martha to stop what she's doing, but instead to take on a different perspective, to take on the mindset of the better part that Mary had chosen, of not simply welcoming Jesus into her house and trying to have the best house for Jesus, but to open up room in her heart for Jesus, to welcome Jesus into this place of encounter. So that as Mary and as Martha, as she learns it, as they make this room for this encounter with Jesus, neither of them are left the same. Because now, Martha and Mary get to receive the words of Jesus. They get to receive Jesus' heart as he shares his heart. Who knows what Jesus was actually saying to Mary as she's sitting at his feet? But I'm guessing Jesus just wants to pour his heart out to his friends, to share himself with these ones who make room for him, who will accept him and who will love him right where he's at. And they were transformed by it. They were not left the same. So that when their brother Lazarus dies, as we hear the episode in the Gospel of John, when their brother Lazarus dies and then Jesus comes, then it's Martha who speaks forward and says, even now I know that what you ask of God, God will give you. Now in that moment, Martha and Mary have this trust, have this faith in Jesus, because they had had this space of encounter. And they got to receive Jesus as he gave his heart to them. In this place of encounter, as we make room for this encounter, we are not left the same. We are opened up to become persons that we never thought we could possibly become before this encounter. And there are different ways that we can enter into this encounter. One way that a lot of young people, a lot of young couples, particularly my own friends, who want to open up this space for encounter or have a challenge for this, is that a lot of my friends, these in my age, and people of my own age, are starting to get married, and they're thinking about starting families. And one of the questions that a lot of young people today will wrestle with, young married couples, they'll wrestle with the question of, is it the right time for us to have a child? Do we have the right resources? Do we have the space right here in the home? Are we having the right space? Is it the right time in our career paths to be able to welcome a child into our midst? Father, is it the right time for us to have a child? And in my response, I'm a lot calm, I'm a lot more, relatable with them. But in my head, I'm just trying to go through all the scenarios and all the situations, and I'm thinking in my head, it's never the right time to have a child. All of those conditions that we're thinking about, as we approach it with that mindset, all of those conditions that we're thinking about, we're never going to have those perfect conditions to bring a child into a home. We're never going to have the right amount of money. We're never going to have that perfect timing with our careers. Nothing is going to be perfect about it. But here's this married couple who wants to grow in love. Here's this couple, if they just have a different mindset as they approach it, and to think we could welcome a person into our home. We can say yes to whatever blessing God wants to give us. We can say yes to whatever person comes into our home. And we'll have this relationship, we'll have this environment where this child will be received, will be accepted, will be loved. No matter what the other circumstances might be as this child comes in. If we approach it in this mindset, it sets us free. And then these couples would never be left the same. And neither would that child, because first of all, that child gets to exist, so that child is definitely not left the same. But all of us who are parents, we've gotten to see how much being a mother, being a father, has transformed us. Has led us to do things, has led us to become persons that we never thought or imagined that we could possibly be. We have received so much more life because we have welcomed these children, because we have accepted and we have loved these persons that come into our midst. That's one angle that we can look at it. Another, but still similar angle that we could look at it at, is that when I was out in New York and I visited the Statue of Liberty, I had the thought, what if we moved the Statue of Liberty to El Paso, Texas? What if we had this symbol that as people who are coming into our country seeking to be received, to be accepted, to be loved, if we had a culture of this acceptance of love to the people who are seeking to come into our country through Texas or New Mexico or Arizona today? What kind of message would that send if the Statue of Liberty was down there at El Paso, Texas? If we opened up this room for encounter with these persons who are seeking to come into our country, we would realize that these are not persons seeking to harm us. They're not persons trying to take our jobs away from us. These are persons who are fleeing so much danger. These are persons who are fleeing a place where there was no hope. And they're looking to us, they're looking to here in this country for hope. They're looking for a place where they could gain those resources and gain that foundation so that for many of them, they could go back home and have those resources to be able to provide for their families back home. To stay united as a family in whatever country it is they're coming from. If we made that room for the encounter with these persons, we could hear their stories and realize that these are persons just like me, seeking to be received, to be accepted, to be loved. And I know that there are many parts, there are many moving pieces that have to go into comprehensive immigration reform. But this mindset, I think, is a place for us to start. To have this mindset of here are persons and I want to make room for the encounter with this person. And when I do, neither of us will be left the same. Because then they will understand, they will have this vision that the United States is not an unwelcoming place. But this is a place where they can come and they can have hope to be able to be raised up into new life. And then we will gain a wider vision. We will get to see that there are persons all over the world who are just like us, seeking to do the best, doing whatever they possibly can for their families, to seek out this new life and to seek out this hope. And we get a vision that's wider than just beyond here in the Twin Cities. But in order to receive this new mindset, to receive this new vision of opening up that space of encounter and making room for this encounter, we first make room for the encounter with Jesus that happens right here, right now. As we recognize that Jesus wants to come into our house, come under our roof, and be with us here. If we make room for the encounter with Jesus, then we get to receive his acceptance of us, his love for us. And then we get to be transformed to become persons who can accept Jesus into our hearts, no matter how messy or unclean we think they might be. We get to be transformed into a place that will receive and love Jesus as he desires our love. And it's within this encounter that our minds and hearts can be transformed so that we take on that mindset of making room for the encounter with these persons. So in this encounter with Jesus, make room. Make room for Jesus to come into your hearts and to speak those words of merciful love and then share your love with him. And in this encounter, then we are transformed to be truly a people who welcome other persons. Persons who will receive every other person whom Jesus sends into our lives.